Hey, it's Gregory Kallenberg from the Film Prize, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to be speaking to Louisiana Film Prize 2022 top 20 filmmaker, John Beach. John Beach, how you doing today?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
And John, just so that everybody knows where you're calling from.
I'm calling in from Los Angeles, Hancock Park specifically.
Hancock Park. Awesome. Well,
Yep.
listen, we love that you're going to be coming down. We love that we're going to be seeing your film. If you could, why don't we start with a synopsis of They Grow Up So Fast, and no spoilers, if you don't mind.
Okay, I wrote this down so I wouldn't spoil it because my fiance said you're getting too long-winded. So They Grow Up So Fast. A first-time father learns just how fast life moves when his son is born and reaches adulthood in under a day.
Okay, well, is your fiance coming with you?
She is,
Well,
absolutely.
fantastic. We will certainly be throwing her mad kudos for that short synopsis.
Yeah, I'd still
if
be
you
going.
could, let's talk a bit about what the inspiration was for the film.
Sure. My sister, Gay Nanette Beach Alexander, who is also one of our executive producers on the film, had a little baby boy, George Beach Alexander, in the fall of 2019. And, it's like that's such a big thing when a sibling has a kid and you're going to be an uncle, which I have been many times over. But my sister Nanny, as we call her, we're very, very close. We've been best friends. We're 13 months apart. And having a kid, this was a big deal. And it at the same time, I don't have children. And in my life, I've always thought like, I'm 44, but I still think like, oh, that's something. I'm not ready for children. That would be later in life. And all of a sudden I realized like, I have friends that have, almost 20-year-olds and many kids and, so there are obviously certain anxieties that I have with respect to, the possibility of having children, and there's an excitement, and I've loved being an uncle many times over. And this just, I came home, I was there for the birth of her son, and it was such a special weekend. And I came back to Los Angeles and I just had these thoughts kind of kicking around, and without going too far, because it does start to spoil it, I just had this idea of what it would be like to be a father, but to experience that in a very rapid way. And it just, this concept kind of burrowed into my brain, and I my writing and directing partner at the time and I just started riffing on it, and it turned into what became, the film that we shot this spring. So
I love that. You're an interesting case because your romance with the Film Prize started a while ago, but it's been kind of a slow cajoling, I guess would be the best word to put out there. Talk about how you found Film Prize and why you did this film for the Film Prize.
My sister, as I mentioned, Gay Nanette, she's been a huge fan. My family there have been coming to the Film Prize, I think since it started. And Nanny every year would just be like, John, I was making short films and web series and all kinds of things. And she was just like, you have to come back and do this. There's this amazing thing in Shreveport. And I came back, and was there in the audience at the Film Prize a couple of years. And then I did an online version when the pandemic hit. And she's been nudging me, and I've been wanting, the more I learned about it, I was like, I have to go do that. And then we were actually going to shoot this film in the spring of 2020. And then the pandemic happened, and it kind of thwarted our plans to, travel and get there and do it. And then in the summer of 2021, I was very close to coming back and doing it again. But my fiance, Emily, who plays Amy in the film, was working in Chicago, and the schedules didn't work out, and it all kind of fell apart again. And finally, this spring, at the very last minute, we came down. I think we were 2 weeks before the deadline to turn in a rough cut. And we came and shot during a heat wave and came back, and it was a race to get a rough cut together. for that July 12th deadline. But I've been wanting to do it forever, and I've loved seeing the films that filmmakers down there have been making over the years, and just wanted to get involved and be a part of it. So yeah.
Well, and again, like I said, a very slow moving romance. I'm glad that you finally have found us and we found you. It's a beautiful thing. You mentioned about, the production being so fast paced. It doesn't feel that way. I will say that you guys did a beautiful job for something that sounds like it was really frenetic, but I am curious what that production experience was like, because I was hearing it from the halls of the film prize, just how crazy it was on your set. But again, you guys kept it together. But what was that like making the film?
I mean, it was incredible. And this was the first thing that I have ever directed on my own. And so there were challenges with respect to that. I also brought in a few sort of filmmaker collaborators in a few key positions. A friend came up from New Orleans, Andrew Boffinger, to be our production designer. An old college buddy of mine came in from New York, who was our director of photography, Damian Drake. Emily Althouse came with me, from Los Angeles, as did our producer. And then, there were challenges with that, just the travel and getting there. And we're still dealing with, COVID regulations. We shot SAG-AFTRA. And so there were, challenges with that. We lost a couple of people. The first day of filming, we lost a crew member who had a positive test. We lost a cast member who was supposed to be involved the next day, and it just turned into, a mad scramble to fill those holes. But then also in the weeks leading up, it was, as I mentioned, we came in and shot, a couple of weeks before the deadline, and I think there were a few films shooting at that time, and so it was a challenge finding the right crew. And as much as I thought, oh, it's my hometown, I'm going to go make something there, it's like, I haven't lived there in a long time, and I am not as embedded in that filmmaking community as I would love to be. And so it was a bit of starting from scratch, getting to, find out who's who. And you guys helped a ton with that. And then it was just kind of, tracking people down, and we put a crew together. But it was a challenge. And as I mentioned, I mean, it was a late June, and there was a huge heat wave. It was like 105 degrees. The AC in the farmhouse we were shooting in broke the first morning of filming. And, it was just, luckily that was fixed very quickly. Thank you, David and Margot Myatt. But it was a challenge. And then, it was just fast. It was 3 days and kind of a crazy story. And we were covering a lot of ground and shooting all handheld, and it was a very frenetic pace. And the story is that way as well. So sort of like getting shot out of a cannon a little bit when we did that, but a lot of fun.
Yeah. And definitely, you're an experienced actor and definitely an experienced filmmaker. I am curious what that's going to be like seeing it. I mean, again, I don't think anybody who hasn't, I mean, you've been to the film prize, but you haven't been to the film prize as a filmmaker, it's a very different experience, as you'll find out. But I'm curious if you could prognosticate what it will be like seeing that film on the big screen. I mean, what's it going to be like being in a packed audience, probably at the Robinson, watching They Grow Up So Fast go up on the big screen for the first time?
I can't really imagine. I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and I can't wait, Gregory. It's like, I have a lot of family there. I have so many old friends, a lot of whom love the film prize and go every year. And then, some who've never been and are excited to go for the first time. I have family coming in from out of town. I have friends that have randomly said, I'm going to drive in from Oklahoma City. We're getting a hotel, and they're coming in. And it's always exciting and overwhelming. I have made short films and different things that have played in festivals as a filmmaker, and then I've been in things as an actor that have been there. And that energy of seeing a thing in a theater is always special. It's, that's when you find out, like, where the jokes are, they landing, but I think it'll be, so much more intense and wonderful, that being in, my hometown with all of those people that are special, because a lot of times it's an audience of people that you might not know or you've just met. And I think this will be, I'm trying to wrap my head around what that could feel like. And, as a filmmaker, we've talked about this a lot. You are in the editing for so long, you write it and then you shoot it and then you're editing and you're working, and ours is a dark comedy. And I've always loved this process, but it's tedious. You're moving things frame by frame, trying to find the funniest bit of timing for every little moment. And you see it so many times that it loses that spontaneity for you. And it will be fun to, now I've stepped away from it, and to step away for like a month and then go see it with an audience and be a part of like a contagious, what I hope is enjoyment and laughter and all those things will, I can't wait.
So I'm going to turn up the intensity meter just a tad. So on Sunday, we do a big brunch. I don't know if you've ever been to the brunch on Sunday. It is happy, it's sad, it's joyful, it's depressing. But it's something that really does have a great spirit and a great energy to it. We basically take the stage with a big check. Check is covered, right? The cover comes off. They Grow Up So Fast is on the 2 line for the winning of $50,000 cash. What would that be like for you to win? And what would you do with the money?
Woo, that is turning up the intensity there. That's hard to wrap my head around, Gregory. It's like one of those things that, from a superstition standpoint, you don't even like to think too much about that. I can imagine that would be an emotional and like incredibly overwhelming scenario. One that, would also be just one of the coolest things I can imagine. And as far as, what I would do with it, look, I mean, we hired a lot of people to work on our film, that it's a short film, and a lot of people work for a whole lot less than they normally do. And so you've made promises to share in those winnings with all the people that have worked really hard on the film. So that will be where some of the money goes. I absolutely would want to put some of that money aside. We're always looking for where the budget for our next, short film or film comes from, and to have a portion of that earmarked to do this again, potentially, would be absolutely front of mind. And then, other than that, I don't want to spend money I don't have, Gregory. So I don't even like thinking about what else I might do, but that would be very exciting.
I love it. So John, we're a little over time, but there is a question I'd like you to answer for the audience. You're a special case. Like I said, you and I have been each other's universes, as far as like you're somebody, certainly we really sort of hopefully cajoled. Well, we know we've cajoled you into our world, and we're going to show you a wonderful time. What would you say to the other filmmakers that are out there watching this, that are considering throwing their hat into the ring to make a film for the Film Prize?
Do it. I mean, I wanted to make a film for a few years before we were about to come make this in 2020. Obviously, circumstances outside my control prevented us the last couple of years from doing that. But in those years before, I wish I had done it sooner. Now I'm so thrilled to come meet the other filmmakers, some of whom I've seen their work. I know they're extremely talented and amazing storytellers. And this has given structure to a process that sometimes, you can just continue editing and it takes forever and you don't finish things. And this sort of forces you into a structure and a finish line, and you're going to have a product, you're going to have a film, and the potential to be a part of, which I'm very grateful this year to be a part of the top 20. But that aside, just going there and doing it and making the film in Shreveport, the friends and family and everyone that was involved and helped out. I had friends that came and were introduced to Shreveport for the first time, and it was a special experience, and one I would encourage anyone and everyone to do if you're even remotely considering it.
Well, well put. I'm glad that we went over time. They're going to leave that one in, John, just because it was that good. Hey, listen, the way we get out of here is doing a little Viva la Film Prize. It's a warm up for what will be a cacophonous weekend filled with that and tequila shots. You ready to do this with me?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're going to do it on 3. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2,
Two,
3.
Viva
Viva
the Film Prize!
Woo! John Beach, They Grow Up So Fast. Thank you so much. We'll see you in Shreveport. Again, if you are just tuning in, this is John Beach from They Grow Up So Fast, top 20 contender for Film Prize 2022. You can get tickets at prizefest.com. Thank you again, John. See ya. Peace.
Bye.